So when a volcano erupts, lava coming up from the magma through the volcano can come down the side of the volcano as a lava flow, but you can also have pyroclastic debris that's erupting from the earth. So pyro is another word for fire, and clast is just a piece of something. So there's just pieces of fire flying through the air. And this airborne material that erupts from the volcano can take several different forms, and some of this has to do with how big the pieces are, but then there's some other considerations as well. But let's start with the finest material that sometimes comes out of a volcano, which is called the volcanic ash. When Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980, it sent up a huge plume of volcanic ash that covered all of eastern Washington and into Idaho with inches of ash. It was falling like snow. It erupted on a Sunday morning, and this kind of shows the sequence of events that happened there. Before Mount St. Helens erupted, there was a lot of warning. The magma underneath the volcano was shifting around, and most people took that opportunity to evacuate the area. This is a famous photo from someone who chose to go in the other direction. This was a photographer who wanted to get a good photo of this. He strapped his motorcycle to the back of his car and headed up this road near Mount St. Helens. As it started to erupt, he decided he was much too close for comfort, jumped on his motorcycle and barely got away. But this whole plume here of volcanic ash, you can just kind of see the scale of what's going on here. Let's talk about some other sorts of pyroclastic material, starting with pumice. So pumice is a rock that is full of air bubbles. So everything you're seeing here is essentially empty space. Pumice is actually lighter than water. So after a volcanic eruption, there can often be pieces of pumice that are fist size or as big as cars that are actually floating in the water. So pumice floats. It's also an abrasive material. It's kind of like spun glass, and it can be used for scraping things, including there's a soap called pumice where you can use it to exfoliate or take off the dead layer of skin. These are cinders, volcanic cinders. These would be ejected from the volcano as a solid, and these would be about the size of small pebbles. So these volcanic cinders are also ejected from volcanoes as part of the pyroclastic debris. Some things are much larger than cinders. This would be a volcanic block here, and a person is shown here to scale. These are just huge pieces of material that get ejected out of the volcano as a solid during the volcanic eruption. Once again, all part of this pyroclastic debris. And of course, these things aren't making it far from the volcano. The ash can go up into the air and literally circulate the globe, whereas these things are just going to be thrown out of the volcano fairly close to where the volcano is. And this is one more example of pyroclastic debris. This is actually called a volcanic bomb. And this was liquid magma that started flying out of the volcano in the air, and then it actually cooled from magma into a solid rock as it flew through the air. So that's why it kind of has that aerodynamic football shape, this volcanic bomb, and these are ejected as liquid, but then they cool as they're flying through the air. So that's a volcanic bomb.